Hey, everyone. Hey. My name is Precious Williams, and I am the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. And I am also a part of the Della Leaders Club Global Leadership and Transformation Committee. Now, what does that mean? And why should you even listen to me? Well, as a 13-time National Elevator Pitch Champion, as a 4-time #1 best-selling author of books on pitching, as a corporate sales trainer for the likes of LinkedIn, Google, Microsoft, Federal Reserve Bank, Intuit QuickBook, Yelp, I could go on and on, BMW, I could go on and on. Before all of this, I was a poor kid growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. There were people who told me I would never be anything. I came out of poverty, lived a very crazy life. I grew up with parents who didn't want me. In fact, when I was born, my mother wanted to leave me in the hospital. My father is and was a drug addict. I didn't have big dreams and big aspirations coming out of my situation. To grow up in the hood, you're always scratching and surviving. When I was 5 years old, I was watching these daytime talk shows, Sally Jesse Raphael. I was watching Phil Donahue, and it instantly hit me. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be on television. I'm going to say great things that inspire the world. Yes, I was thinking that at 5 years old. In fact, I had a vision that I would live in New York City. Now, in the natural, as Joe Osteen always says, that's impossible. There's no one in my family who ever went to college. There's no one in my family who ever made it big. There's no one in the community who made it big. And yet I knew I was supposed to do that. Now, how did it happen? I had to create impressions with the perfect pitch. But when you're young, how do you even know how to do that? Well, my mother nearly beat me to death on November 18th, 1991. Yes, that was 31 years ago. And then I was going to go sent to live with my father, again, who I said was a drug addict. And so the first 15 years of my life were so difficult. And I wanted to give up so many times. But when my grandparents stepped in to raise me and to bring me into their wonderful home, yes, it was still in the hood, I didn't know that was the best decision I never made. From the time I moved into their house, I never worried about food. I never worried about love. I was the only kid in a house with 60-year-old people. You would think that would be horrible. It was the most wonderful experience. My grandparents, I think, went to the Oprah Winfrey School of Parenting. Never once was I ever called out of my name. My toes were twinkled in the morning. My bathwater was ran for me. I had a hot meal every morning before my grandmother drove me to school. Yes, she drove me to school in the hood, made sure I walked through that door. And when I got out of school, she was right there waiting for me. But how does this relate to creating impressions? When I was 15, my grandmother said, "You have the gift of speech." She said, "When you speak, people listen. You don't sound like anybody else. You have so much presence and so much power." Now, I don't know about y'all, but when you're 15, you're constantly told you're ugly, you're stupid, you'll never make it. And then your grandmother tells you you're great. You can make the impossible look easy. Oprah's going to know your name. You're going to be world famous. I didn't know what to believe, but she, made me do affirmations every morning. I'm the best in the world. I'm this and I'm that. She wanted me to see that I am and create magic with words. She was already showing me I am a master. At 15 years old, at 16 years old, the principal of my high school came to me and said, "We want you to speak at an event." I didn't know it was before the mayor of the city of St. Louis. Let me talk about creating impressions. I couldn't write a speech, but my English teachers did. So we walk in. We didn't know the mayor of the city of St. Louis was going to be there. We didn't know politicians were going to be there. And here we walk in, my grandmother and I, we're like, oh, wow. I hadn't looked at the speech. I hadn't done any of that. But what I did do is when it came time for me to get on that stage, I opened up my speech and I went ham and cheese on them. Not only did I get a standing ovation, the mayor of the city of St. Louis came to me and said, "I want you on. our, our St. Louis Public Schools task force. You speak so well. The next thing I knew, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was featuring me. The next thing I knew, I had paid speaking engagements all over St. Louis and all over the great state of Missouri, the Show Me State. It was all starting to happen because my grandmother told me who I really was. Beyond whether my parents wanted me, beyond whether the community believed in me, I had a grandmother who spoke life into me. So she was creating an impression on my mind that I was worth it. And my job was to be able to showcase that to the world, that you can come from the inner city, you can come from nothing, no connections, no media connections, not knowing anything, and you can rise above the people who always had everything. So every time I blessed the stage, my next speaking engagement was before the governor of Missouri. Killed it. The next thing I know, standing ovations. Now I'm speaking again. Now I'm speaking all over Missouri, and I could not believe it. The same child that parents didn't want them. Now, Missouri, the people of Missouri know my name. I'm in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I'm being featured in places I didn't even know existed. But how was that possible? Because she created the impression of who I really was. My job was to confirm that impression. So I, got a full scholarship to Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. Full scholarship, the first in my family to graduate from high school. I was a valedictorian for the class of 1996, 1997. I was Miss Beaumont in 1996, 1997 with a parade in the city of St. Louis. And I was a battalion commander for the junior ROTC program. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. So I went off to Spelman College. I was told, oh, the girls there are so wealthy. They're rich. They come from all of these backgrounds. They're going to make mincemeat of you. You're poor. You're a big fish in a small pond in St. Louis, but they're going to make mincemeat of you. I was like, all right, challenge. That sounds like a challenge. Let's see. And so I told myself, I'm the real Spelman woman. I didn't have to come from a legacy to create a legacy. So when I spoke, I took every opportunity to let people know what time it was. I was creating an impression of confidence, of poise, of excellence, of grace under fire. And by doing that, it really solidified that I was a great professional speaker. Yes, I get paid to do what it is that I do. I am not a motivational speaker. I'm not a transformational speaker. I'm not an inspirational speaker. That was the beginning of me becoming what? The killer pitch master. So I got through Spelman College, 4 years, full scholarship, got a full scholarship to Georgetown University Law Center. How many people do that? I did not like my experience at Georgetown University Law Center. And rather than I wasn't able to articulate how I was feeling. So I left for 2 months. And in that time, they kicked me out of law school. So that could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't. Because I had created such an impression on my mentors when I came to New York, he sent me over to Rutgers, and I met with the dean. And the dean was like, well, you got all of these great schools, including Georgetown. You get in here. In fact, I'll sweeten the pot. I'll give you a full scholarship. How does one go from a full scholarship to getting kicked out to another full scholarship at another school? It's all about the impression that you create. Sometimes the environments aren't right. Sometimes you're ahead of your time. But in the meantime, in between time, the impressions that I gave to people, the impression that I made on people with my killer pitch, with my perfect pitch, allowed me to do the impossible and make it look easy. Something that my grandmother, Precious Dolores Williams, told me when I was 15 years old. Finished law school, passed New York State Bar on my first try, became an attorney. And you know what? Hated it. But what was I going to do? Well, what I didn't realize is the man that I had been dating, my fiance at the time, our relationship was coming to an end. And as painful as that was, I had to let it go. I didn't realize that I was stepping into another beautiful now. So when I left him, I had the courage to leave him. A couple of months later, my friend came to me and said, let's put an ad on a dating website. And I did. It was called Two to Tango. I didn't know that I would meet a very famous Hollywood actor. I was 327 pounds because I was so depressed about the demise of my relationship. But what I didn't realize is that it created an impression in me that allowed me to become who I am today. So when I met him, I just thought, oh, this would be great. This is fun. We had our first day. I'm like, I'm too fat for him. He'll never go for me. Okay. He texted me like, we're going to do this again. What? And do you know why? Because I was different. I wasn't something he'd experienced before. Even though I was 327 pounds, I knew how to walk into a room like I owned it. I was that full figure diva and plus size fashionista. I was something he had never seen. And throughout that relationship, being flown out, being treated like royalty, walking up and meeting all of these famous women, I look nothing like them. It inspired me to start my first company, Curvy Girls Lingerie. At Curvy Girls Lingerie, we were the ultimate shopping experience for full figure divas and plus size fashionistas. The only problem is I had no money to start it because I had stopped my legal career to give my all. And since I didn't have the money, how was I going to do it? Well, that's why I truly became the killer pitch master. The first time I ever pitched Curvy Girls Lingerie, I had negative $400 in my bank account. You would think it wouldn't work. But I went to an event I could not afford, walked up to the producers of MSNBC, pitched, not even knowing how to do it, and they loved it so much, they put me on national television, Your Business with J.J. Ramberg. And they drove me to Rockefeller Center in a Cadillac Escalade. My friends did not believe it, but look at what I did. I created an impression with a killer pitch and a perfect pitch on them. When I got on set, hair, makeup, all of that, I got into, they call it the elevator pitch. And I pitched. And in 54 seconds, I walked away with $500,000. Not only that, the host of the show, J.J. Ramberg, said that was one of the best pitches we have ever heard in the history of this show. Right after that, they said they got such an influx of people who wanted to be on the show who were people of color, Black, Asian Pacific Islander, Latina, Latinx. I was so proud because until I did it, people didn't know what was possible. And yeah, I'm Black on both sides. I don't have a Brazilian butt lift. I don't have six-pack abs, but I know what I can do. I can create an impression with words and I stand in what I say. And so if I can create an impression, when my family and friends said no one would invest in me, I couldn't worry about that because they weren't the people I wanted to make an impression on. But the right people with the money, they understood. There's now over 40 million women size 14 or larger in the United States, just like me, and we all want pretty underwear. And it's just too bad the most mainstream lingerie companies didn't create it, but we did. So without a background in design, without knowing how to sew, without this, I still created a company that went bigger than I ever could have thought. The next thing I know, we were on Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine. We were just doing it. And mind you, that only happens if you created an impression in the marketplace that delivers, that slays all competition. So before Lizzo was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, before Lizzo and before Ashley Graham was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, there was Precious Williams 11 years ago doing it. When they said that no one's ever going to listen to a too fat, too Black, non-Ivy League degree having woman, I said, challenge. Let me show you why I'm the female MacGyver of business. I don't need all of that. I'm going to show you how to put words together and to package and position yourself to get the VIPs, to get the world leaders to notice you. I don't beg, I don't borrow, and I don't kiss butt to get to where I am. What I have learned as the killer pitch master, right after I appeared on this show, I entered 14 pitch competitions and won 13 of them. What? Hands down. And the reason why is because it needed to be done. And at the end of the day, I want you all to understand that the greatest lesson about, just pitching and everything, period, is understanding how to create the right impression. If I walked in feeling I'm poor, I'm Black, no one's going to listen, then that would reflect. But in order to create the impression I wanted people to have, I had to show up boldly, proudly, owning every pound on my body, making sure that I look good from day one. I don't have to look like everybody else. I don't have to come from this family, that family, or anybody else. But when you see me on stage, it's showtime. It's showtime. And I want you to understand why I am the best in the world at what I do. I'm a world-class master communicator, and just being able and I took pitching from just, pitching for media and investments to showing how it's an everyday occurrence. When you talk about that no good man, no good woman in your life, job you love, job you hate, opportunity, should you take it or not? I'm going to show you why creating the right impression, creating a good impression, puts you heads and tails above everyone else. So as the killer pitch master, who is now the pitch queen, I proudly sit on my throne, and I show you how I went from despair to destiny. And that is why I'm so proud to be a part of the Della Leaders Club, and just being a part of, the Global Leadership and Transformation Committee. I'm in New York City. And if you all are interested in learning more about me, please check out my website, www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. On Facebook, I am at Perfect Pitch P. On Twitter, I am at Perfect Pitch P. On Instagram, I'm at Perfect Pitches P. And on LinkedIn, I am Precious L. Williams, killer pitch master. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please tell me that you saw me in this. Finally, I have a YouTube channel under Perfect Pitches by Precious. And maybe I didn't make this clear. When you go to my website, you'll see how you can work one-on-one with me. I'm the killer pitch master, and I will show you how to slay all competition with the perfect pitch, a killer pitch. That means your elevator pitch, your media pitch, your investor pitch, your sales pitch, your speaker pitch, and your interview pitch. So you can go to my work with me page where you can see my one-on-one training, my group training. You can also see digital and online training products that you can learn at your own pace. And for those of you who want to become book busy and paid speakers, I also have a $27 Speaker One pitch workbook and Canva templates. I also have the Booked and Busy Speakers Boot Camp. The next one coming up will be, in 3 weeks. And so where does the money reside? Where the money reside? Where the money reside? Where the money reside? It resides in creating a killer pitch that pays and slays. And I hope you have enjoyed this talk on creating an impression with the perfect pitch. No matter where you come from, you can go big. And I am here along with DLC to show you how to bait, attract, and close with ease. My name is Precious Williams. I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. Thank you.